To the 15, to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. It is a touchdown, Big Orange!
What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. And what have we got lined up tonight? Well, it's Virginia week. It's on. It's game time. It's time to get this party started. It's time to prove to all of the haters, all of the Vol doubters, all of the Joe Milton doubters, all of the Josh Heupel doubters, that yes, the Vols are back, baby. 2 great seasons here in Knoxville, well, right up the road in Knoxville, under the belt of one Josh Heupel. 2 great seasons last year, uh, 11 wins. It was amazing. A couple of hiccups here, but nobody expected us to be number one, even if it was only for a week in the playoff standings. And people are going to be shocked this year when we end up number one in the playoff standings come late November. They're going to be shocked. They're going to be, oh my God, their heads are going to explode. After we beat Georgia, are you kidding me? I got my buddy Jason E. Jones with me here tonight. Where's it at? There it is. I got Jason Jones with me tonight. We're going to talk a little Tennessee football past, a little Tennessee football present, and we're going to do a new segment that I just came up with the other night myself. I think it's going to be a pretty good segment called Flush or Flourish. I'll ask Jason a couple of questions about Tennessee football, and he will either flush it or the Vols will flourish. And 'tis the season to be jolly if you're a Tennessee fan. Man, we went through some rough years, didn't we? I've been through some rough years. Tennessee's been through some rough years, but it appears that myself and the Vols are through all of that. Now, if I could just get my voice to come back, after being intubated for 7 days and all the anesthesia, my voice it's raw and it's terrible right now. But that doesn't stop people like Saleendriver for sponsoring BVD TV, South State Contractors, and of course, Everhart Transportation Incorporated for sponsoring the BVD TV programming, and I appreciate all of those guys very much. If you would like to support the channel, it's very easy. The first thing you can do is just show up. I'm trying to get people to show back up here. Like it's lonely. It's lonely sometimes, not having anybody to talk to. But that's what these streams are for, and the videos that I've been putting up are for, to get the crowd back in here. We're trying to rebuild this thing, and I can't do it without you guys. We just got a few people here right now. I think people were expecting an 8 o'clock stream, but I've decided to move it up to 7 to accommodate some other YouTubers and to, keep people from running off of here and going over there. But thanks to Matt Doomit, Kelly Goodwin, Nate Pruitt, Ramajama Taylor, Hudson Dean, and something called Big Ball Daddy. Oh, Fireball. I see you, Fireball. Of course, Fireball. Good to see you guys in here bright and early on this Tuesday. But anyway, if you'd like to support the channel, I've got 2 links at the top of the chat pin. You can either do the Cash App or the PayPal. Anything is greatly appreciated. And there's always my favorite, the Super Chat feature down at the bottom. That gets your comment highlighted. The more you donate, the more you can say, or you don't have to say anything at all. Lots of people just drop a 5, 10, 20, or $500 spot just to say, we love you, BBD, and I love you guys too, even if you just hit that thumbs up. If that's all you got the power to do, that's all you got the power to do. We're hitting the thumbs up on this Virginia game come Saturday. I hate that it's a noon game, but hey, look, when you play a crappy opponent, you get a crappy time. So we'll see. Virginia used to be pretty good. We've seen them before. We've seen them in, was a Sugar Bowl, I think, years ago. A great game that not many people expected to be a great game, and it turned out to be a great game. Anyway, I'm going to bring my buddy Jason in. We're going to talk a little Tennessee football. We're going to talk just a little bit about his interview with my favorite Tennessee football player of all time, Heath Schuler, the other day. And we're going to work to get some former and current Tennessee players on here, just like we did last year during my partial season. So anyway, welcome, Jason. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good. How you doing, BVD? Thanks for having me on. Am I crooked here? Just in line.
You're fine. You're
Okay.
more crooked than I am.
I'm doing better than this last week. I've actually got the internet up here in Montana.
They got the internet in Montana?
I'm telling you.
How'd that happen?
Some guy named Joe put it in, but
It wasn't Kevin Costner and the Yellowstone crew?
Man, I tell you what, dude, this state, there's people all over this state that's got ranches. It's crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. Big ranches. I mean,
Big
hundreds of acres ranches.
I love when I'll say something to somebody from here and they'll go, excuse me, what was that? I'm sorry, I have a little Appalachian in my voice.
Yeah. Fireball, I'm feeling fine, actually. I'm feeling better than I felt, since this recent episode. I've got all the infection out of my body. As far as I know, I mean, I didn't know this, but when I went in for that last surgery, I was badly infected with sepsis and had no idea. It hadn't gotten to the point yet that I've started feeling anything. So, but all of that's gone. No wounds to speak of. I got, except for this last one. Of course, I got the wound where Boogie stabbed me in the back and undercut me a few years ago. Only you guys that were here or in his stream the other day would get that. That was a joke. Boogie he's not, nobody's undercut me by any means. Boogie and I are good friends. Excuse me. I'm performing nicotine injections here. Probably shouldn't be doing that, but life's about choices. Anyway, Boogie, myself, and sportstalkJ had a great stream last night, the first of many to come. A programming note: we'll be doing Wednesday midday shows on the Wednesday after the Virginia game. It'll be on sportstalkJ's channel. And then, unfortunately, I drew the Wednesday after the Austin P game, but both of those will probably be about the same. So, and then we'll go back to Boogie and we'll rotate throughout the year. I just hope I get to be on after the Alabama game, after we go down there and beat their ass in Tuscaloosa.
That's right.
Taylor.
Right.
Who you? Let's get into some Tennessee football talk right now, Jason. Who is your player this year that has to perform? He's got to be the man in the locker room and on the field.
Cooper Mays.
That's a good one. Go ahead and explain.
You got a center. He's the captain on the team. He's the center. He understands pass protection. He understands running schemes. He sets up the blocking on the offensive line. I mean, the center, other than the quarterback, is probably the second most around to the linebacker, is the most middle linebacker, is the most important position in football.
Well, he's the player on the team, and I talked about this last night. He is the only player on the team that touches the ball every single play.
And you got to have good snaps, BVD, got to have good snaps. By the way, you got me on fire here. I've been watching UVA. I'm doing their spring game right now. And, I mean, they like to run a lot of RPO, what a lot of people like to do. I know I'm maybe jumping the gun here a little bit, but they like to run RPO. They like to mix it up and keep the linebackers, because you're gonna work on that running back, and then all of a sudden you bring it back out, and the linebackers, they're gonna have to figure out, okay, am I going run or am I going pass? And I'm watching here, and this quarterback, if you're cool with it, if you want me to talk just a little bit here about Virginia.
Yeah, talk a little bit about Virginia, because I have not studied up on them at all. There's three things I know about Virginia. One, their name starts with a V. Two, they're in Charlottesville, Virginia. Right. And three, they've supposedly got a decent defense. No offense at all to speak of, but they've supposedly got a decent D.
Number three, from what I've seen, man, is I was writing down players and everything, and I started to get to where they've got a strong safety that could play linebacker. They are decimated. The linebacking position reminds me a lot of when we were talking about Nick Gervais. We were talking about back in the Doolittle years. I love that name for him.
Doolittle.
Having linebackers playing all over the place, defensive line. Their secondary is beat up. They've got a couple of transfers from one from Clemson, and they've got one guy. Let me look here. Let me get back. Let me get the quarterback for a little bit.
Everybody, Tennessee included, everybody each year seems to pick up a few portal guys that help their team, which is, kind of ironic, because they couldn't help the team they were on. Yeah. So they go to another team. That just cracks me up. But
Tony Muskett is a senior. Now, I'll tell you what, maybe it's just me. Maybe because I'm looking.
Is he the quarterback?
Yeah, Tony Muskett. He is a second-year transfer from Monmouth, which is pretty good school. He played 8 games last year. Everybody on this team for Virginia seems to be dealing with injuries. And unfortunately for the Butch Jones people out there, that kind of shows that you're doing something wrong. And I don't know how many people are still Butch lovers out there and how many bricks. I love that, by the way, you did that video of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're in Butch Jones's yard. But injuries will show that you're doing something wrong, whether it's your conditioning program, whether it's the way you're working out. Hello, Mr. Devil. Where you're working out, whatever you're doing, if you're having
that for Jay Shipes, I'm accommodating my buddy Jay Shipes in the comments section.
Okay, gotcha, man. Gotcha. But last year, played in 8 games, was 143 for 223, now this is pretty good, 64.1% passing completion rating. Generally, quarterbacks, really good ones, are sometimes between 58 and 60%. He threw for almost 2,000 yards, 1,997 yards.
Yeah, you got it. Before you continue, though, you got to consider the competition he was throwing against.
True, ACC, yeah. And if you look at it, if you look at some of these games, and I've got it right here, they were not very good last year. Went 1-6 in the ACC, 3-7, and then 2-4 at home, and 1-3 on the road, and ended up losing 3 in a row. But yeah, you're right. They don't play. They're not playing really that tough a competition. But this guy, I mean, he can run the ball. He had 210 yards rushing last year on 65 rushes at 3.2 yards a rush. And interesting enough, only 1 touchdown. So, and I say that to say this. It's this offensive line that's the real problem for Virginia. They've got a couple guys. They got a couple of Tennessee boys, by the way. One's their offensive lineman. His name is Noah Josie, 6'5", 315-pound junior out of Brentwood, Tennessee.
Man, how did he get away?
What's that?
How did he get away?
Sometimes they get away for the right reasons. But I will say this, though. He's, as far as the running game, he is their overall top lineman in the running game. He's a returning starter along with Ty Furnish, which is their center. Now, listen to this. By the way, sorry, I'm getting excited here, but 6'3", 282 pounds senior compared to, what is Cooper is 305, somewhere around there. So that's
I would never have thought Cooper was that heavy. I mean, he's always been not necessarily undersized, but
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so either. Their problem is they've got some real issues on that offensive line other than those two guys.
Well, they're going to have some real issues come Saturday too.
Yeah.
When our defensive line starts blowing through them. I'm sorry. I'm not overconfident about this year. I'm just very confident about this year.
Man, we've got more depth than we've had. We talked about it last time. We've got more depth than we've had in over 20 years. Depth and competition, as Bob Kessling told me. Jason, it's not just about depth. It's competition. And that's probably a bad Bob Kessling.
I would say there's no such thing as a good Bob Kessling, but that's the John Ward. That's the John Ward fan in me talking. So,
we talked about that in that interview I did with him, and he just talked about how Doug Dickey told him, "Be yourself. Remember, you don't have to please everybody. You just have to please me because I'm your boss." So I thought,
right.
But there's only me and John Ward, man.
Looking at Virginia's roster here, there's one name that's not on the roster that used to be. That's painful, and that's Dorian Goddard, wide receiver / tight end out of the beautiful town of Greenville, Tennessee. I really thought when he went to Virginia that he was going to flourish and be a star there, but I'm not exactly sure what happened. I just know he ended up having to come back home and get some things fixed in his life, and now he's up at UVA Wise. So he's still in Virginia, just a little closer to home.
Yeah.
And hopefully he has a big year up there because I'm a big fan of his. He was great here. So we'll see. Nobody cares about UVA Wise anyway. So.
No. My experience, the one year I was at Middle Tennessee, and I went there as a non-preferred walk-on, but I did get to experience an introduction to being around a Division I program in the Sun Belt. And we had one guy, he was an offensive lineman. He was a transfer from Auburn, from Georgia. Big old guy. But sometimes, man, it just family issues. You're missing home. He was from Southern Georgia. So Southern Georgia all the way to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, that's a long way. So
yeah, Fireball's talking about Tony Elliott in the comments, or Tony Idiot.
Yeah.
You know the whole hullabaloo between him and our AD a few weeks ago. I think it started on Twitter.
Saying he was offered the job and he was never.
Yeah, he was never offered the job. Josh Heupel was his only, the only guy he offered the job to.
Yeah.
So somebody's lying. Imagine that.
Yeah, I think sometimes it could be in the middle. Sometimes because again, the people I've talked to, the sources that I have here and there, basically say that even people that aren't connected to Tennessee say, and you probably heard this though, an AD, if he comes out and he doesn't say, yeah, he's wrong because Josh Heupel believes he was the only one that was offered the job. Then it can start a little fester that eventually could turn into something,
Yeah.
So you gotta, as they say, nip that in the bud.
Nip it, nip it, nip it. Oh, Barney 5.
Greatest ever.
Yeah. Well, looking at this game, we got a question. Let's see. Where's Virginia picked to finish in the ACC? Jerry Wells, I would imagine the bottom.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Let me look.
They were horrible last year, and they're a little bit better than horrible this year. They're like really bad. So
I don't know what I'm looking right here, BVD. His recruiting. I mean, he's supposed to be in there, and he's supposed to be some massive recruiter. He's ranked 65th right now in the country in 247.
Wonder where that would put him in the ACC in recruiting.
Third.
That would be bad. Ed wants to know how is UT's offensive line. I think we've got a solid line this year.
Yeah.
Losing Darnell Wright clearly hurts. But Spraggins is back. He should be much improved this year. And of course, Cooper Mays. And we got some guys, man. We got some big bodies. And I like our offensive line this year. They're big. We were talking about this last night. If you just take away the names and look at the sizes of these guys, they look like a good NFL offensive line. But the difference about these guys is they're good at downfield blocking. You got to be in Josh Heupel's offense. You got to be a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, and a little bit more mobile as an offensive lineman than you would in the traditional, I formation NFL type offense, which the I formation's very quickly becoming a thing of the past, Jason.
Right. Yeah, well, it is. And I interview coaches on the Jason E. Jones show, by the way, I got to get rid of the podcast. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes about who I've
plug, self plug.
Plug it. But yeah, it's interesting that, most people around the country are running an RPO spread. They want to get the ball spread out into the flats and get it to their key guys in open field. But some people are still, like I talked to, the Eau Claire, Wisconsin area at Altoona High School. He is running a flex bone. So what he's doing is it's a hybrid wishbone. Right. And what he's doing is he's keeping it on the ground. But the problem with that, man, is when you're running these veer. I talked to a coach the other day, Grambling State. He's running a veer. And the problem with a veer is it's an old offense to where you used to have a lot of low blocks, chop blocks. The offensive line position has changed over the years, so you got to be more sophisticated in your blocking.
Isn't the veer what West Virginia used to run in the movie We Are Marshall? And Marshall had all those freshmen, and they were trying to learn how to run the veer.
Well, it went single wing, wing T, double wing. This is what I want to say. And then it went to veer, I formation, and then it started to change. Bill Walsh had a lot to do with the changing as far as passing goes. Bill Walsh came up with the West Coast offense was all about footwork. But I digress. I'm getting a little too off the topic here. John Campbell, guys, you're talking about offensive line. John Campbell is a transfer from Miami. He's looking right now to be the starter at left tackle. And why is that so important? Because you're a right-handed quarterback, you're back to pass. Your blind side is so important at that left tackle position. Now, obviously, he's got a big hole to fill as Mr. Wright that went to the Bears. What a fantastic job that Darnell did last year. I mean, just
he was the man. I mean,
yep.
I'm not going to say bided his time, but when he came to Tennessee from West Virginia, he just stayed the course, and he turned into potentially one of the best linemen we've ever had here. In my opinion.
That's
saying a lot. Yeah,
that is saying a lot. Ollie Lane. Now I love Ollie Lane because he can play. He is their backup center. He could play guard if he had to play tackle. He could play.
He's probably going to be the center Saturday.
Probably going to be. Yeah,
and maybe the following Saturday. We talked about this last night, and I'll bring it up tonight with you. How much contact, if any, do you think Cooper needs before the Florida game? Assuming he's going to be starting the Florida game.
That's what goes back to your coaches and what they believe, and your offensive line talking with the head coach and discussing, and they've just got to go with what their gut feeling is. You're dealing with an injury, and as we know, unfortunately, last year with Hendon Hooker, he tore his ACL on a non-contact movement.
Yeah.
So
and we see more and more of that these days in college football. Guys tearing their ACL and not even having any contact.
You want to know why? Because as much I've talked to a few people about this, and I need to do a good interview on it, not just off air, is all these kids are playing all these different sports, and it keeps them active, keeps them busy, keeps them out of trouble. The problem is they're putting so much tension on their lower bodies because they're constantly moving and working out, and they're straining. That's where they're straining and I'm by no means a doctor, but they're straining their tendons. They're really putting a strain on their bodies, and that's why you're seeing more and more injuries like that. And two, a lot of people now they're making we've got the best athletes we've ever had in human history with sports, but they're making these cuts, and it's kind of the Jalen Rose syndrome, where not Jalen Rose. Is it Jalen Rose? Not Jalen. Derek.
Jalen Rose was a basketball player.
Derek, but here's my point. Derek Rose could have been one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He was on his way, but his problem was those cuts. His body was taking too much movement. So that goes back to just being an athlete.
Yeah.
So sorry, I got on a tangent there.
You tend to do that, Jason. We're a lot alike in that department. We'll get to talking about something, and before you know it, we spent 5 minutes talking about something. And
I think
that happens.
It's good content, though.
I mean, just talking football, it happens.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get to this game Saturday. I don't really know. I don't know how Joe Milton's going to do compared to Hendon Hooker. But I think he's going to have a better season than a lot of the doubters think. We've only got 3 things really to base what he's going to do on. One was how he did last year. He still has 0 interceptions as a Tennessee ball, which is hard to believe. I know he doesn't have the big numbers, and he doesn't have 8 million attempts, but he's not thrown it to the different colored jersey yet.
Yeah.
And that's coming. It's going to happen this year. We know Joe's going to throw a pick. There's a question for you. What game does he throw his first pick in?
Whoa.
I'm going to go Virginia.
No. Again, after we talked and I really hit Virginia hard with their roster, I look at them more honestly with what they've got going for them. I look at them more like a Sun Belt team. And
they may not. They probably wouldn't even finish in the top half of the Sun Belt if you base it on the way everybody's talking about them. I mean, this is being chalked up as a 60-7 type game for Tennessee. I don't think we're going to score 60 points.
The problem is, though, in the off season, you give a team first game of the season, and it doesn't work out all the time, but you give a team a whole summer to prepare for you.
Yeah.
Look what Georgia Tech, I hate to bring that up. I was there. We gave up almost 600 yards on the ground to a guy that I thought was going to run for the Heisman and he was like third string quarterback at the end of the year. But you give a team an entire offseason and that's all they do is they build up and they work on what you do. And
so do you think all the talk about how bad Tennessee's going to beat Virginia's horrible. Do you think Tony Elliott's been using that this summer, this offseason?
Absolutely.
Oh, look at how everybody's talking about us. We're terrible,
Absolutely.
Tennessee's going to beat us by 50. Is there even that much chance of an upset in this game?
Man, it's football. You put two teams on a field and they don't have to beat us 10 times. They got to beat us one time.
Right.
And if we were talking about Tennessee 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the lack of depth on the offensive line, the lack of competition on the team, I would say anything's possible. I can't see it. I mean, they're talking about Arian Carter is looking at possible freshman All-American preseason. I mean, we haven't had that since Eric Berry, maybe?
Right.
I don't know.
Hey, look, man, we've got some dudes on defense now, and I think people are going to find out pretty quick, that Tennessee's not going to field a South Carolina game type defense. We didn't do that last year. I mean, that game to me was an anomaly. We played South Carolina 10 times last year on a neutral field, which doesn't happen, but still, I think we beat them 8-9 times. That game was just another one of those games, Jason, where all week all South Carolina heard was how bad is Tennessee going to beat them?
Yep.
Are they going? When kids hear that, it motivates them, and I don't care what anybody says. I think that was a very motivating factor in that game last year, and probably the same with Georgia. Our 2 losses last year were both games where all week people were talking. And I still can't believe some of the talking heads, the way they were talking about the Georgia game last year, thinking Tennessee was going to go into that big oval-shaped turd with the bushes around it and score 40 or 50 points.
Have you heard that pregame speech by Kirby Smart?
I've heard part of it.
Oh,
it was pretty awesome.
And the problem it was like, wait a second, who are they playing? Oh,
yeah. Us.
Us.
Yeah. What's up, CPG? Good to see you in here, buddy. One of the NFL guys in here dropping a little love.
By the way,
man, my voice.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. Tomorrow
That's
I've got
right.
Damon Floyd coming on. He's the head coach, if I may. He's the head coach of Bradley Central in Cleveland, Tennessee. And Boo Carter's head coach right now. Boo Carter, a 3-star athlete. He's a 3-star, which is a travesty.
I can't believe Boo Carter's a 3-star. That's ridiculous.
3-star athlete, and it's ridiculous. But he's coming on my show tomorrow. We're going to talk about Bradley Central. Obviously, talk to him about Boo Carter and what an impact he's had on the team. and developing Boo. I'm going to ask him about that and kind of talk about his development and I think I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be good.
Oh, I'm going to piggyback off of some things we talked about last night. I know you weren't there. I don't know if you watched any of it at
I was
all.
there
But
in spirit.
okay, well that's that's good for something. Tennessee. Oh my God, I totally forgot which. Hang on just a second. Let me collect my brain for just a second.
Gotcha.
Which defensive player do you think has the biggest impact on this team this year? My vote, if you want to call it that, was Keenan Peely, the kid from BYU. I think he's going to be just a monster this year.
I think he's supposed to. I think he'll be what Juwan Mitchell was supposed to be.
Well, we don't care about supposed to be's around here. We were supposed to be a shitty team last year, and we weren't. So we're supposed to be a team that could take a step back this year. That's what the doubters are saying. Could Tennessee take a step back? Sure.
I don't
any
see
team
it.
any team can take a step back. Even Georgia.
I can't see it, man. I have not seen this level of talent, BVD, at Tennessee since 04, 05.
Well, talent's nice, and it's good to have plenty of talent. But chemistry, we know we got the coaching. Yeah. We know we're getting and have some talent here. We're working on it. We're building. We're building a house out of cards because we don't use bricks around here anymore. We all know what happens with bricks. So,
right.
You don't want a house of cards either because they collapse easy, but it's the only thing I could think of. What's up, Mayhem Matthew? Good to see you, buddy.
How about our depth at running back too, man? Just this time
God, we're loaded. Greenville and Tennessee. I'm gonna tell you, those are two teams that are loaded at running back, Jason.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, got to interview the one and only Eddie Spradlin today, and we had a good conversation about you and talked about what you brought to the Greenville community and how much he appreciates you. And that's a solid dude right there.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. Eddie's, I joke with Billy Cole about Eddie being a dear friend of mine, but Eddie really is.
He is.
I mean, we text every week, not just about football, He came to see me a couple of times when I was in the hospital, and he's a solid dude. And our community, I hope our community realizes how lucky we are to have them because they're spoiled. We have a bunch of spoiled fans up here. They don't yell. Well, I know, but it's been 5 years since we won a state title.
Well,
it's time to make it. It's time to make it number 5.
He and I are cut from the same cloth to a degree. We
Powell.
both grew up in Powell.
Yeah.
And partially to people that are listening from Crossville, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I mean, that's my hometown, but I went from Powell as a kid to Cumberland County, and a lot of it fell on me, but boy.
There's an interesting comment, Jason. Can Georgia beat the Soviet hockey team? Are we talking about the 80 Soviet hockey team or the current hockey team?
We can beat Georgia. We will destroy them with our might.
The 80 Soviet hockey team would be hard to beat in any sport.
Yeah.
Those were some big, mean dudes.
They
could just look at you and make you crumble.
To hear the call.
Wait a minute. Wait, 1 second. Who are you talking about, Fireball?
Isn't it crazy? The best player on the team isn't even a starter. Oh, Arian Carter?
Yeah. Who are you talking about? Arian or? Could be talking about Navy Schuler.
Well, hey, Navy. Well, there's another plug. We'll get into that. This is your show, so can Michigan win it all? The Michigan man.
I think Michigan can win. Oh, Nico. Okay, I got you. Well, he's not a starter now, but there's a lot of people out there, Fireball, that think he will be the starter by way before season's end. You
don't want that, Tennessee fans.
I don't think so either.
You don't want a freshman coming in there. I mean, imagine if Casey and the Michigan guy here, I'll say this, Jim Harbaugh, he's bringing you a lot of excitement, but he's also, when your head coach isn't on the sidelines, I don't know how that's working right now. Yakov Smirnoff. I love America.
Yeah, we have ways of making you talk.
But the problem is, and last time I checked, I thought he was going to be suspended. I don't know what's going on with that. And the NCAA, you just wish that they would be somewhat consistent, but they don't understand consistency at all. But if he's not on the sidelines, that still affects your team. But you've got Ohio State where you want them. Your recruiting is where it needs to be. I mean, to a degree, Tennessee and Michigan's has had more years of consistency here recently. But you've got two teams from the 90s that were dominant and, I mean, could have shared a national championship if it hadn't been for Nebraska. But that's another story.
I definitely remember a man named Peyton Manning as a freshman that was thrown into the fire when Jerry Colquitt got hurt.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people, myself included, that could not wait to see the man play football. And I'm not talking about Peyton Manning. I'm talking about Colquitt.
From Oak Ridge.
There's a guy that bided his time, Jason, and finally got his start against UCLA, and then boom, he's out. Peyton comes in for one series. And then who came in? They didn't save the day that day, but saved the day a couple of games. Peyton played as a freshman, but he wasn't very good. I mean, there's a reason, you know. Yeah.
You know, when he got into that huddle, I think he told Jason Lehman or something like that, everything's going to be okay. And they told him to shut
up. Yeah. Shut the fuck up and snap the ball.
Yeah.
You can say fuck on this show. I mean, we try to limit I try to limit the number of fucks around here.
I try not to. I'm quit cussing. So until it's football season.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, I've quit too, but I try to bleep out things. I don't have a bleeper on the live shows.
Yeah.
So, you know the old saying, I don't give two fucks. Well, I mean,
gotcha.
Sometimes it happens on here.
I hear you.
Hey, look, Jason, I hope the days of me getting on here and taking a baseball bat and beating the shit out of a fence or a stick or whatever that was, I hope those days are over.
I do too. I mean, at least for a while. I mean, you're gonna go through your ups and downs. People don't want to remember Alabama that are Bama fans. Bama couldn't sell a ticket around 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
They were getting beat by Northern Illinois. They were getting beat. Didn't Louisiana Tech beat them? I had Malcolm Butler on my show. By the way, what a great dude that dude is. And Louisiana Tech won. Anyway.
You're a comedian, Jason. Twice. What is Critique Captain talking about? BBD would be a blue comedian.
Means
you know what he means?
Means that you like to cuss a lot.
Oh, okay. So I'd be like Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor.
Yeah, you would be up there. Red Fox, George Carlin.
I'll tell you a guy that cussed a lot in his stand-up shows, and I can't remember his name. He's deceased now. The guy from Full House.
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget. I couldn't stand that guy, man. He was like the worst actor ever. And when I found out he was a stand-up comedian, I was like, you got to be shitting me.
He was raunchy. But here's the thing.
Was.
He played the perfect part for a show that kind of made you feel good about yourself a little bit. Yeah. You know, it was, I'll say it, Full House was part of, I was 11 when that came out? Something like that.
I mean, it was a staple for a lot of families.
Yeah, sure was. Hey,
I'll tell you who was raunchy. Archie Bunker.
That? Oh yeah.
He was big time racist. And in the 70s, to be a racist, the 70s and early 80s, that was not that there's such a thing as a good time to be a racist, because there's not, but he was outwardly a racist in the All in the Family show.
Did you know the Jeffersons was a spinoff of All in the Family?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep, the Jeffersons were next door neighbors.
Yep.
No, if I was a comedian, first of all, I would suck at it because I'm not funny. Second of all, I would be more like Sam Kinison.
Oh yeah, he was
yelling.
He was
you
awesome.
know.
Well, his thing wasn't just yelling; it was the fact that he said things that just people would think about. But yeah, Carl LeBove gave me, and I don't know if I'll ever get back into stand up. And my problem was everything's so doggone politically correct.
Spanky. Hands
You
down,
remind me of
Spanky.
Farley BVD. What's your favorite little rascal? Is it Alfalfa?
Yeah, I remind you of Farley
Spanky.
because I'm fat, or Farley was funny.
Spanky. Sinner.
I loved Spanky. And what was his girlfriend's name? Darlene.
Darlene.
Yes, BBD and Darlene. I could go with that.
But Carl LeBeau gave me, it was his buddy that him and Sam were together at the Comedy Store in LA. And he saw me one night in Vegas, and I walked up to him after the show, and I was like, how's it going? And I told him I was an amateur, and I'm working on my act. And he gave me a guest spot, and, stuff like that. You don't forget stuff like that. So
you've been around for a while, Michigan man. He's talking about my dually videos. Yeah, there were some very comedic dually videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Greatest Michigan quarterback of all time.
Let's see. Greatest. I mean,
you say Tom Brady, you're wrong.
No, I was going to say a lot of people are going to say Tom Brady, but it was definitely not Tom Brady.
He was good, but Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh was good. Yep. I'm trying to think of some of those guys
Elvis
back
Gerbach.
in the late 70s and 80s. Gerbach, God. Yeah.
I've had people.
Michigan's not known for great quarterbacks,
Right. I've had people that played when I was at middle for the brief time that I was there with. I remember a buddy come back from the Bama game. They just got done playing Bama. And I'm like Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live. Do you remember that one play? He's like, man, I remember the play. I don't want to talk about football. So I love talking football.
Well, I catch some flack from some people on here for supposedly not having the same passion for Tennessee that I used to have. That's just not true.
You gotta be yourself.
I mean, 15 years of suckage will beat and wear any man down. And that's part of what it did to me. You can only take so much sucking. And when your team is known as a bottom feeder after being a national power, it's just tough. Ask Nebraska fans. They can tell you. Who else? Who else is in the shitter right now? Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Talking to Slim Shady last week about Miami. They're very, very much so right now, like Tennessee was for a few years, going through the coaching carousel. Florida's headed down that road if they're not careful.
They're in there. They're on that road. They got beat 31-3 to the Beavs.
I'm telling you, well, that Oregon State team was good.
But 31-3.
Yeah, I get it. It happens.
Yeah.
It certainly happens. I'm scared to death of that Florida game. I mean, it's been 20 years since we've won in the swamp. Come on.
We've had no luck. I talked to there's a segue there. I talked to Heath Schuler the other day. You might have heard of him. And he came on my show. And
don't he own some hotels in Pigeon Forge? Oh no, that's a different Schuler. Spelled different. My bad.
I don't know. But I asked him, because I went to the swamp as a fan in 2017 on that doggone freaking. Now I cussed that day on that Hail Mary.
That supposed Hail Mary that Tyree Cleveland caught.
Oh my God.
Oh my. I can't stand their announcer. There's a guy you need to get.
Oh yeah, Mick Hubert. Oh my. I was there, man. And I stood there, and all these Florida fans are walking by me, and I'm just like this. Did that really just happen?
Let's really happened. Waffle House. It really happened. Just like the what was his name? I'm not going to ask anybody because I'll figure it out myself. Something Christ. Something Christ. God, he transferred to Washington. The quarterback for Georgia that threw the supposed Hail Mary against us that wasn't a Hail Mary.
You're talking about
Jacob Eason.
Jacob Eason, yeah. Because of Uncle Lou.
Yeah. Jacob Eason Christ, yeah. Jacob Eason Christ turned into Jacob Eason Satan like 17 game seconds later or whatever it was. Turned into Joshua Dobbs Christ.
Well, I think from what I've been told about Kirby from people that know him, and I'm lucky enough to know people across the country. And
you know people that know people, don't you?
I know people that know people.
Yeah,
Here's
you got to know people that know people.
Drop it. But From was definitely Kirby's guy, and they were from. Yeah, so Fromm was going to get in there.
He got in there when he probably shouldn't. Fields probably should have been the starter over Fromm, but
I don't know what was going on there. I mean, you bring Fields in to just run just a handoff. I mean, didn't even give him an opportunity to look at a defense from a passing perspective. Maybe to go out there and maybe he checked off a few times with a running play, but I mean, just get him to go out there and hand the ball off. It just seemed like he dropped the ball on that one.
I'm going to give you the opportunity here to plug yourself, which you've done a good job of so far. Talk a little bit about Heath Shuler and what you guys talked about, and what an amazing quarterback he was at Tennessee. He was, let me say this, he was Joshua Dobbs before Joshua Dobbs got here. He was a lot of Tennessee quarterbacks before Tennessee quarterbacks got here.
Well, Sterling Hinton, Tony Robinson, and obviously Condredge Holloway, they paved the road for what Heath Shuler was. Heath was just, I mean, you take a look at the history of who he was, and he was an everything. I think he batted almost 400 in high school or something like that in baseball. He played center in basketball. He could do everything.
Shuler played center in basketball. Bryce or Swain County must have had mid.
Yeah, well,
a tall guy.
I'm gonna say he was he 6'1", 6'2", something like that?
6'1", 6'2".
So I mean, it was back in the day too. So, and there were a bunch of country boys there, and he was 1 hour from Bryson City. Is right on the Tennessee line, so he was like an hour roughly from Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. But I mean, he was just a game changer, man. Can you do the link? I don't know how you do that. Can you do the link to my video here?
To the Heath Shuler thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, hang on. I'm checking something else out.
Now, I don't know if people have been able to watch the video or heard it, because I'd never heard this before. Because I asked him, I said, look, before I got him on, I do an off-air introduction if I don't know somebody, and obviously I didn't know Heath Shuler. And I asked him, I said, do you mind if I bring up what would have happened if you would have stayed at Tennessee? And I already had his wide receivers, Marcus Nash, Joey Kent, Andy McCullough, on and on and on. And he said, no, that's fine. And it turns out he was going to leave. He left Tennessee because he had an insurance policy with the Lloyds of London. And it was $20,000 you pay for every million, which seems pretty good, but you still have to put up $20,000. And they believe that you're in insurance. They can make money because there's a chance you won't get hurt.
Right. So
he had that insurance policy. His mom worked at the school, I'm going to say. School, yeah. I think his mom works in the school. His dad was a postman, and they just didn't have the money. And he left. He said, I wanted to stay. He said, my girlfriend was there. My brother was there. He was a sophomore. He said, but I had to go because I didn't want to put that financial burden on my family. And I that's his word. So I tremendously respect that he put his family ahead of his own wants and needs. And imagine how hard that was. And he said, "Hey, BVD." Well, he was talking to me. He was like, "I left, and Jerry Colquitt was coming in, and people don't remember how good Jerry Colquitt was out of Oak Ridge. He got lost in the shuffle with Andy Kelly and Heath Schiller, two of one of the greatest quarterbacks in Tennessee history. But it was going to be Jerry Colquitt starting. Todd Helton was there for depth, and Todd really, honestly, didn't want to. He was there for depth and he was playing, but he really didn't want. They didn't want him to get hurt because he was going to be a major league first round pick. Right. And then you had Brandon Stewart, which a lot of people forget. He was a heck of a quarterback. Ended up going to Texas A&M, and then you had a guy named Peyton Manning. I don't know what happened to that guy, but I think he did all right. But that was what he left, okay. And he felt he didn't leave the cupboard bare. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I just said Peyton did okay.
Yeah. Now thought you were gonna comment on the Michigan man.
I'm doing a bad thing right now. I'm watching a couple of other people's live streams right now while we're doing this one, and I'm just blown away.
How are we doing right now?
We're not doing good, but that's okay. It takes a lot of brick and mortar to rebuild a castle. So
that's true.
And everybody calls me the OG on here, and they're right. I am the OG. I am the orange gorilla. So, they can call me the OG anytime they want to, because I love being the orange gorilla. Critique Captain, you know exactly darn well who and what I'm talking about. This is not a drama channel, though. So, where you going, Squid? Who you going over to hang out with? We got the ACC show going now on Pigskin Pete's channel. We got sportstalkJ doing a random live stream. He's killing it. That might be where a lot of our people went. And then, of course, talkinvawls doing their NCAA streams, which always do well. And I think that's it until 9 o'clock when Uncle Lou comes on. So
Chico Bennett Jr. is not playing in the game. That was the guy I talked to you about last time I was on. He is projected to be a number one draft pick, first round draft pick. He tweaked his knee, and he's not going to be playing in this game. Now they've got another guy that if Chico Butler was playing, and Chico Bennett was playing, and Cam Butler is defensive end. If they were playing, they've got a good interior defensive line. I could see what people are talking about as far as the defense, but they're beat up to all get out, man.
Well, they're going to get beat up bad Saturday, so
yeah,
we hope anyway.
Let's see. Cam Butler, he's playing the defensive end position because they have on the other side is called Bandit. He's had 18 sacks in his career, 35.5 tackles for loss. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's real good. And he's
better than I'm doing.
From Miami, Ohio.
We don't have that many tackles, do we?
No. It was a tough weekend last weekend. You got an interception and took it to the house, but other than that.
Yeah, last weekend was a tough weekend. My Green Devils struggled to a tie. Let's see. Tennessee didn't lose, but so that makes it a good weekend.
Hey, you got Granger coming up. I don't know how.
No, we got Cherokee. We got Cherokee.
I thought Eddie told me it was Coach Spratman.
No, Granger's later on in the year.
Oh, okay. Well,
let's see. God, we got some bad home games, but we got Alcoa at home in 2 weeks.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. That's a game right there. We got Cherokee, schedule is kind of hard to read because
what you got to do with Alcoa is you just gotta play smash mouth ball against them. You cannot turn the ball over. You got to sustain drives and just try to turn them over because they're like Brentwood Academy of the back in the day. I mean, they shouldn't even be playing. And I don't care who is there you go. I don't care who is an Alcoa fan. And I respect Alcoa and Marable, but Alcoa recruits, and it's ridiculous. I had Jeff Herrig on, which was a great interview from Loudon, and Jeff Herrig, instead of staying in 3A, he went up to 4A to get away from Alcoa. And it's just the truth.
It is. Let me acknowledge Double O.
Really good.
Certainly appreciate the super chat. That ain't cheap, as some people say. $50 super chats, it's a big deal. I don't have a wrestling clip to play for you, but I will say thank you very much for the comment, especially going to the first game in 30 plus years, coming from I-40. Do you mind saying where in NC you're coming from, Double O? Because I used to I've lived all over North Carolina. I actually love North Carolina. If I wasn't so old, I'd move back. Where is the best place to park? By the way, love you. It depends. If you're a walker, if you don't mind walking, you can park at the hospital. Oh God, what's the name of the hospital? It's not St. Mary's, is it? It's the one down behind the back end of the strip.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're charging. I don't think they charge to park there, but they might. Another good place that I used to always park, it's a walk, but it's not that much of a walk, is right underneath the Henley Street Bridge. There's a parking lot right there. It used to be like $20 to park. Who knows what it'll be now? It may be $50 in a leg, which I've got them covered if that's the case.
Oh,
30 plus years.
Is he going to Nashville or not?
Oh shit, that's right. He's going to Nashville. I don't know what
that's why I said Vanderbilt.
Oh, he didn't say which game.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, that's why but he goes, coming to my first game in 30 plus years. And
which game are you coming to?
If he's in Nashville, they've got a ton of parking right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, to be honest, Knoxville does too.
True.
If you don't mind walking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So 30 plus years, I got to take a guess here. So
that's got to be in the 80s.
What? 92, 90, so 93. I can't believe it's been 30 years since I was in 8th grade.
Well, he said 30 plus, so
30 plus.
Yeah.
It's Todd Kelly. Well, Todd Kelly, Andy Kelly. I'm going to say you were at the UCLA game. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark. Were you at the UCLA game? And there's no chance.
Mebane. Okay, I know where Mebane is. A lot of people that have never heard of it call it Mebane.
Where's that?
Mebane, it's off of I-40, actually. It's pretty close to Raleigh. I used to actually have to deliver heating and air parts to Mebane when I was doing that, when I was in that line of work.
Ask him what game that was, because I got to know now.
Yeah, we got to know what game. First of all, what game did you go to last, and what game are you going to this year? And Vandy Dandy says Brentwood over Alcoa and Maryville. Maybe Maryville, because they're kind of down right now. You know, they're losing 1-2 games a year. That's Bama down for them.
Yeah.
UConn. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, so he's talking about Knoxville. So I stick to what I said formerly.
See, you were right.
Formerly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't necessarily right. I was just
when I heard Henley Bridge, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's
it is. Is it Henley Street or Gay Street? I think it's the Henley Street Bridge. No. Shit. Henley Street and Gay Street. Those are the two bridges back to back. It's the first big bridge you go under from Neyland Stadium on Neyland Drive. Or
Have you
some
ever
people
seen
call
such
it
a
nail and
cluster?
drive.
Have you ever seen such a cluster to get out of Knoxville after Tennessee plays?
Well, I mean, you're cramming 100,000 people in really a 50,000 people area.
Yeah, true.
And but it's like that at a lot of places.
Yeah.
Try getting out of Bristol after a race. I mean, there's basically
that?
only 2 ways
Nobody
in and
goes.
2 ways out.
Have you ever seen a sport die the way NASCAR is just die? I mean,
Yeah,
back in the day when we were growing up, you couldn't find a ticket to Bristol.
that's right. We would go Friday night before the Saturday, I think it's Saturday night race.
Yeah.
We would go Friday night just to hang out where everybody parked,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of tailgate, if you want to call it tailgating. Back in 08, I think it was. God, that was 15 years ago. Holy crap.
As soon as they started, and I'm not a big NASCAR guy, but as soon as they started making it where all the cars were the same, it was just like
it takes away all the competition.
You're going to love this one. My grandpa, before he passed away, God bless him, he used to run Shine. Both my grandpas used to run Shine, but my grandpa was from Newport, and he used to run Moonshine across that mountain right there in North Carolina.
Let me tell you, Jason, I'm not going to say his name, but it's a good friend of mine that used to own a restaurant in town.
Okay.
And he took me. His family used to own West Knoxville.
Okay.
You know where all the luxury car lots are now, the Volvo dealers, the Mercedes dealers. They used to own all that farmland back in the day.
Okay.
Of course, they sold it, and there's one holdout from that family that has not sold his piece of property, and they're putting up these big condominiums and nice apartments and stuff all around his house and his land, which based on my memory, it looked like he had maybe an acre or 2 of land, not a lot of land.
Yeah.
But he had a machine shop there where they worked on cars. Then they had his house down at the bottom of the hill. And we went up there. We were getting moonshine for somebody. I can't remember who. A friend of mine was asking me to get him some moonshine. And this guy was telling his cousin, hey, we want to buy some shine from you. Can we get some? And he's like, yeah. He's got a box truck parked outside of his little machine shop.
Yeah.
He goes out and rolls the door up on this box truck.
Yeah.
And Jason, if I'm lying, I'm dying. That box truck was full of moonshine. He grabs a mason jar and hands it to my buddy, and he charged him like $5 for it. I was blown away because I thought he was bullshitting about the box truck. He's like, yeah, he's got a truck full of shine. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. He had a truck full of shine.
Listen to this. So my dad was running Western Avenue. He was running a back when American Freight Systems was running the show in transportation and trucking and all that stuff. They're in Southern Avenue. And he was such a big dog in Knoxville. He went to the University of Tennessee, and I'm not going to mention on here all the things it takes to make moonshine. Put it all together, went to Morgan County where his side of the family's from. And anyway, I get in my Quentin Tarantino moment. I call it when I get too excited. I start getting but this is crazy.
That's what we call long-winded, Jason.
Okay, gotcha. So that's the Scottish Irish in me. I get excited. He had a trailer of moonshine, and if it had been today's world, it'd been every channel you'd ever see in your life. He had an entire trailer running shine. It was completely full of moonshine and had a hose to run down to the pond, which if anybody was coming, it would dump all that moonshine into that pond. The cops came, the FBI came, the TBI came.
The revenuers showed up.
He got out of it somehow, but there was so much moonshine and it was ridiculous. But that's my little thing there. And then
It's kind of funny. A couple of Tennessee guys talking about moonshine.
I know, isn't it crazy?
It happens. Do you watch the show Moonshiners?
No, but what was that one? What's his name from North Carolina that ended up dying? And
Popcorn.
He did the last bit of liquor everybody made. I can't even do it.
I watched Moonshiners pretty religiously because it's funny to me. Digger and Mark, they're from Newport, which is 20 minutes down the road from me.
I got family there.
Last season, one of the main narratives of the show was, the chief of police in Newport was after Mark and Digger. And I'm like, all right, we know that some of these shows are bullshit and there's fabricated stories. Yeah. And that one to me was the most fabricated of all of them, because what cop in their right mind is going to arrest Mark and Digger because they know they're making shine? They've got a legal company to do it.
Yeah.
So why do they even, why would cops even bother with somebody making quote unquote illegal shine?
Put a fire there.
They don't even give a shit anymore. I wouldn't think.
Has there ever been a name like Cocke County, Tennessee, that just made everything just perfect for that area?
Well, how about this? I live in between Cocke County and Bulls Gap.
Oh Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Oh yeah. So, you're way out here.
I know who you are, Critique Captain. I've always thought I knew who you were, but now I know who you are. I'm not going to out you, but I know who's behind the ghost of Critique Captain.
And where is Quentin Tarantino originally from? Knoxville, Tennessee.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's a weirdo, man. That dude's weird.
Well, I think we're all weird, especially.
Well, yeah, but he's like legit.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Now, if you watch Pulp Fiction, everybody's pretty much, you've seen Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
He mentions Knoxville twice.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is the boxer, and then oh crap,
I know everything, Critique Captain. Just ask Jason; he'll tell you. I know everything. The hills have eyes, and so does BVD. I'm watching your every move. You just don't realize it.
Jeepers creepers.
What's up, Steve Pearson? Good to see you, buddy.
Halls plays Fulton, huh? Is someone that grew up
not too long ago? That would be I hate to say it, Clay. That would be an ass whooping for Halls, but I think you guys may take them now.
I was supposed to have Brent Hughes on my show, the head coach of Halls, but I guess we're gonna.
Somebody needs to keep account on Jason's shameless self plugs.
Hey man, I'm not married, no kids. I live and breathe interviews, and it is.
If you guys like interviews, Jason's channel is the place to hit up, because he's doing interviews with people in places that I've never even heard of.
Oklahoma Panhandle State, baby.
Yeah, all right, let's get to this flush or flourish segment. Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions about Tennessee football, and you tell me whether you're going to flush it or Tennessee's going to flourish.
Gotcha.
Question number 1. Joe Milton throws for over 2,000 yards this season. Flush or flourish?
This season?
This season.
Flourish.
You think so?
I think it could be between 3 and 4. I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, but 3,000 plus, I think.
Man, that's lofty yardage right there.
You do the math. If that team's as good as we think they are, do 3 times 10. We play, 12, 14 games when we win the Natty.
Damn, Devin Hayes says 2,000 and half a season. If that happens, we may have our first Heisman winner on our hands. Even though the NCAA laws say no Tennessee quarterback or player can win the Heisman. But we'll see.
Man, TCU's won a Heisman. Who who's all won a Heisman and we haven't won a Heisman?
Everybody.
Not Vanderbilt.
Everybody we hate except Vandy.
Kentucky
Here you
won a
go.
Heisman?
Flush or flourish. A Vanderbilt player wins a Heisman before Tennessee does.
Flush.
Yeah, we'll flush that one. Neither one of them will win one in my lifetime.
I got one for you. Is Vanderbilt part of the SEC? I brought this up, and it's like comedy. It's a common kind of thing. But I thought about this a long time ago. Vanderbilt has not had a 20-win season in basketball in over a decade.
Really?
Yes, look it up.
Wow.
Their football team is their football team. They were who we thought they were.
They sure were.
Boom. The girls' basketball used to be good, really good. Went to one Final Four, I want to say. I can't believe
Vanderbilt girls went to a Final Four. You sure about that?
I cannot believe I know this. They went to a Final
Four
either. In 93, I want to say, against Ohio State. The Vandy is the only team in the SEC that doesn't have a women's softball team that I've checked. What do they bring? Baseball? What do they
baseball?
Bring? What do they bring to the table? The
baseball.
That's it.
Okay. Let's continue down the flush or flourish road here.
I like it.
Josh Heupel will be the Tennessee head coach for the next 10 years. Flush or flourish?
10 years, man.
10 years.
That's a long freaking time.
That's an eternity in this day and age, especially at Tennessee.
Well, think about it right now. Who's the longest tenured coach? Nick Saban in major college football.
Right. How long has he been there now? 15 years?
07. He went there the year that I was in basic training.
16 years. No. Yeah, 16 years now.
It's 16 years right now.
He's been at Bama just a little bit longer than I've been doing YouTube.
Wow. I would I hate to say it, but I would flush that one. Just 10 years in today's world, I can't see.
Vandy Dandy says Vandy won over 20 games last year in basketball. Oh, he's digging out the computer or the phone. While you're doing that, think about this flush or flourish question. Tennessee has 2,000-yard rushers this year.
Flush.
Okay, 1,000-yard rusher.
The way they and now with what's his face from Louisiana, and then freaking
Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, Sampson, and then is it Clarendon? Clarendon.
Jalen Wright, Dylan Sampson, Cam Seldon, and Jabari Small. And Cam Seldon is going to be Tennessee's offensive, not rookie, but freshman of the year this year.
I don't even think, I would say you'll probably see 600, 400, 300, 500, maybe something. I don't know. But I don't think we'll see 1,000.
You don't think we'll have 1,000 yards? I mean, 1,000 yards is tough for one guy to have. Two 1,000-yard rushers, I would definitely flush that one. But I think we have the potential to do that because between Jalen Wright and they're going to split the running back duties up so much, though. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to have one, let alone two. When was our last 1,000-yard rusher? Was it Travis Stevens?
That's a good question.
Or
Rajon Neal, wasn't it?
Oh, God, it might have been. I forgot all about him. He's one of the forgotten guys at Tennessee.
He gave everything.
What about Jalen Hurd? Jalen Hurd was on track to be the Vols' all-time leading rusher if he hadn't been such a bitch his last year.
By the way, he's right. I was wrong about that until last year. Vanderbilt had not had a 20-win season. But
I'm losing my head.
What's that?
I'm losing my head.
Oh.
On my green screen.
That sounds like a personal issue.
Yeah, it does.
But no, he's right. Mr. Stackhouse got him 20 wins last year.
I mean, I wasn't going to doubt you, but I was thinking, man, Vanderbilt's usually better than
They've been
average.
down, man. They've been down. They brought in Drew, Mister shot that big shot against Ole Miss in the NCAA tournament.
Who was the guy that got the lucky ass win Vandy had over us? And I called it that night when they really had no business winning that game, and they still managed to come back and beat us. Who
Basketball?
was it? Yeah, who hit that shot for Vandy?
Oh,
Missouri did it, and then Vanderbilt did it, I think, or vice versa. I can't remember which
yeah.
one did it first.
I
But
can't even. Yeah, it was last year, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was crazy. I was in Vegas, man. I was so busy with work and doing stand up around town. I don't remember. I remember they hit it though. Yeah. Anyway,
okay. So you looked that up and got that corrected.
I was wrong.
Back to flourish or flush. Let's see. Tennessee wins 12 games this year, flush or flourish. And I'm counting Louisville game.
Ooh. I mean, that's putting a lot of pressure.
That is. That's putting us in the playoffs.
It is, but it's man, 12 games. We haven't won 12 games since
I'm going to flush that
98 or 99.
Yeah, I'm going to flush that one. I think we have a reasonably good chance of winning the East, and we know what that comes down to, the Georgia game.
Absolutely.
But I also, on the flip side of that, think we have a reasonably good chance of finishing second or third in the East. I don't think third's going to happen, but you never know. Flush or flourish, Tennessee loses to Kentucky.
You know, people bring this up. The other day I was reading a bunch of comments, and people we like to focus on what we're doing, obviously.
Yeah.
People are like, we've never lost to Kentucky. But guess what? Okay, you could say the same thing with Florida, though, with us. I mean, it's eventually something's got to change. So
something's got to give at some point.
I still though say that we'll beat Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, we own those guys. So
have you been there, by the way, to the stadium?
I've not been to Kroger Field since they
Great
renovated,
stadium.
but I've been
Really?
to Commonwealth a couple times.
It is okay. So you were there before it was renovated.
Yeah.
What a great atmosphere. I haven't been to Rupp. I went up and watched the Baseballs 2 years ago. But
I would not say Kentucky has a great atmosphere.
Well,
I think they may have a great stadium.
The great stadium. Oh yeah. People got mad at me because I walked out of there and oh man, boy, I'm loud too, and I say it's great to be, and I mean it's just ringing off the walls, and you could just see Kentucky fans. They're just like, but I told people, I'm like, you guys need to support this football team. Once you get out of here and go back to Tennessee.
I will, just as soon as we finish whooping your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
The times I've been up there, except for the very first time I was up there, which was 1985, I just graduated high school. A good friend of mine from Worthington, Ohio, was a Kentucky student, and he invited me up for the weekend. Hung out in his dorm with him. We were both 18 years old. We were kids. Had a great weekend, man. Went to the Tennessee-Kentucky game, and it was 6-0 at halftime. Tennessee was leading. We ended up winning that game like 42-6 or something like that. It was a second half shellacking, one of Johnny Major's best second halves ever. So, but I had a lot of fun, man. We played basketball out there on their public courts, and we had a lot of fun. Riding the bus to the Kentucky basketball game that night sucked because it was like packing sardines into a sardine can. But they played it was Kentucky versus like Northwestern State or somebody at Rupp Arena, and they Kentucky wore them out. And, so I got to experience Rupp Arena. I've experienced Cameron Indoor Stadium one time.
Really?
Yes.
I'd love to go there.
Yep, for Duke.
I heard it's tiny.
It is. It only holds like 12,000 people. It's like a really huge high school gymnasium, but it is loud in there, man. It is so loud. It was a Duke Carolina game.
Oh, God.
I can't remember.
Oh my God, you got
it was 91, I think, or 92.
You got to see the 91 Duke team with Laettner,
whatever team Cherokee Parks was on. Remember him?
Oh, okay. That was a few years later. So that was like
I missed out on J.R. Reed. Well, that was a Carolina player.
Yeah.
I missed out on some big names, but I got to see just the Duke Carolina period. Even if they're both scrubs, that's a great game to go to.
It really is.
And I still, to this day, save for possibly, God, it pains me to say this, the only atmosphere at any sporting event I've ever been to that was better than Duke Carolina at Cameron Indoor was possibly the Swamp. And it pains me to say that.
What year were you there?
95 and 97.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was.
They jingle the keys, and just. Both of them were night games.
They started that when my brother was there. It was 91.
The key jingling thing.
What's that? Yeah, it was 91, and they started it right when he was. They drove down there, and I want to say they were seniors in high school or something like that. And the end of the game, they started pulling out their keys, and he said it was just the most just disturbing, strange thing he's ever heard in his life.
Beats the hell out of cowbells.
Oh,
Mississippi State. The first time I went was Peyton Manning's senior season. Yeah. So it must have been 97 and 99 I went there.
Oh, well, you saw too good. You saw Lewis get stopped.
Well, I've got
on that sweep.
Big giant picture in my living room that's got kind of like a pictorial history of my Tennessee sporting events. Mm-hmm. And one of the pictures I've got is Fraternity Row in Gainesville. They hung Peyton Manning in effigy. And then after the game, when we lost, they lit him on fire. I mean, that place was brutal that day.
I'm going to tell you, when I was there in 2017, I was let down, even though we just lost in a heartbreaker. The game was over with. I know the hurricane had just been through, but it was still the Swamp in Florida. I was expecting the fans to be crazy. It was so quiet, and that almost pissed me off even more because
Spurrier, when he was there, that place was electric.
Oh, it was. That was what's his face that went to Western Michigan. No, Central Michigan is the coach. He didn't want to be at Florida.
What's the best road game you've ever been to for Tennessee?
Road game?
Yeah.
Oh, let me think here.
For me, it's 95 Alabama, easily. Play number one.
You were there?
Manning to Kent.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah, you got me beat.
I was also there in 97 when we beat their ass again.
Damn.
It's the first and only time in my life I ever wanted to kick a preteen in the back of the head. But, I didn't do it, so don't judge me.
The best game, the heartbreaking game, was South Carolina 2016. We were supposed to be there to celebrate an SEC East championship. And we heard.
Oh, my God.
I hung out with Jalen Hurd's grandpa. He looked like David Allen Coe. And we hung out with him before the game.
As long as he didn't act like David Allen Coe.
Right. And, I mean, this dude, that was a trip. And we were hanging out, and they said, that's Jalen Hurd's grandpa. Now, that feeling before the game and after the game, that was two different things of how I felt about Jalen Hurd.
You know you're in SEC country when you go to a game and you get piss thrown on you.
Let me tell you something. You throw piss on me, I'm gonna kill you. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, we had it. We had it. Water balloons filled with urine thrown at our car in Florida. Um, but you throw piss on me, even if I'm in my chair, my wheelchair, my leg's coming off, and somebody's getting beat with it. Oh, you know what I found out today, Jason? This is totally off any topic we've been on tonight.
What's that?
I was talking to my prosthetic guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was casting me today for my final leg.
Yeah.
And we were talking about insurance and everything. And I was talking to him, I said, I'm probably in the millions of dollars of hospital bills and surgeries over the last 2 years. Thank God for insurance, right?
Yes, sir.
I said, let's just pretend for a minute that I don't have insurance. What would this leg cost me? What's your best guess? And in the comments too, what do you guys think a prosthetic leg would cost if you had to pay for it out of pocket?
I would say between 50 and 75,000.
Oh God, no, it's nowhere near that. That's that's a car.
You kind of build it up there a little bit. I'm just looking at, man, I had to have
I did build it up. I'll give you that, but I was thinking 3,000 to 5,000 at tops.
I had
17
to have my
grand
tooth replaced in Vegas, and it was $2,500. So
Matt Dumit's more like what it should be, $2,000.
Yeah, I was off.
But yeah, 17 grand.
Right, I'm going to sit back down.
Yeah, I wasn't winning anything either on The Price is Right, but I was shocked. And he said 17,000 would be a low on the lower end. So I've got 17 grand plus 13 for the electric chair. I got 30 grand in this cut off leg of mine. And I found out today the doctor that cut my leg off screwed me up because you got the fibia and the tibia, I think. Are those the two bones that go down your shin?
Yeah, I think so.
Bottom leg. Well, the big one, the fibia, one of them, fibia, tibia, whatever it is, the big bone that goes down the middle, and then the bone on the outside was supposed to be just a little bit shorter than the big one. My doctor got it backwards. My bone on the outside is about an inch longer than the bone in the middle. That's what she said. What's up, Slim? So yeah, that's another area my doctor fucked me up in. That's fuck number 32 for the night, by the way.
Hey, all right, Big Lebowski.
I thought that movie sucked.
Oh, I love that movie. Oh my God, I love that movie.
I love John Goodman.
That was such a great movie, man.
But I really didn't like that one. It was boring.
Oh, I mean,
anyway,
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. What's your favorite sports movie? Football movie.
Football movie. I gotta say, man, it would probably be Rudy.
Oh my God, that is a good one, though. It's the program for me.
You know what's interesting? We may have talked about this before. That Tennessee was playing South Carolina at halftime when they were filming that stuff.
Yeah. And what else is interesting to me that I just found out last night? Two of the main characters in the program. What was the defensive? They were both defensive guys. One was the black guy. His name was Mac or something because he was
in
mom.
Unnecessary Roughness.
That's where I was going. Him and the other guy, the big white guy, was on the roids in the program. He was in Necessary Roughness too.
Yep, he was the chaw chewing cowboy.
Yeah,
you don't blame it all on me.
He was still pretty damn big in Necessary Roughness.
Oh yeah. He was just that dude was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
What a great movie. Let me see your arms.
Clay likes The Blind Side. Fireball likes Varsity Blues.
He goes throw the ball, genius.
I fell asleep before I got all the way into it. Kingpin, I mean, I guess you could consider Kingpin a sports movie. And it was good too, I thought.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was hilarious. Man, Vanessa Angel was so fun. Oh.
Yeah. We Are Marshall. There you go, Matt. That's the program is my favorite football movie, like just pure football.
Yeah.
But We Are Marshall is my favorite movie about a true story because I have ties to the Marshall plane crash.
I do
My
too.
my step grandfather was supposed to be on that plane,
Wow.
but he stayed home that weekend because his wife was sick. Isn't
It's
that
amazing
crazy?
how that works, man.
Yeah.
My aunt is from Huntington, and she lost her doctor in that, all kinds of stuff.
Love me some Huntington, man. We used to go down to Huntington when I lived in Columbus. We'd go down to Huntington during the summertime. I mean, probably twice a month. Be
About
rolling
3
down the
hours.
road listening to Casey Kasem.
Oh yeah.
And we would stop in Waverly and go to Jolly Pirate Donuts. Remember those, Matt Dumit? I think they still have Jolly Pirate Donuts up there.
I don't remember that.
We would have Jolly Pirate Donuts on the way to Huntington. And about the time we would get to Huntington, Casey was at number one. But he would always play 2 or 3 songs before he would do number one.
Coming
So we
up,
we'd
number one.
always miss his number one song.
You remember Kay's Ice Cream? I used to go there
Yes.
on Emory Road.
Yep.
In
I don't
Powell.
know if those still exist or not either.
I don't think they do. They may.
There used to be one on Chapman Highway.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's still. Well, we can look it up.
Yeah, we got
Got
this
our
thing.
good friend Google.
Hello, Mr. Google.
What was it? K's, right?
Kay's Ice Cream.
K's.
And they had
Kaya.
the best burgers too.
Never had a burger from there.
Kay's Burgers. Man, Powell, growing up, that place was so small and country, and it is not small and country anymore.
No. Now, they do still have K's ice cream because you can get it at Food City. I just got a reminder for that.
What's
July
your favorite ice cream?
16. It says July 16, K's ice cream is coming back to Knoxville. My favorite brand or favorite flavor?
Flavor.
Oh, man. Well, when we used to eat at Baskin Robbins all the time in Huntington.
Okay.
And my go-to 100% was pralines and cream. I don't know what the hell a praline is, but it's good.
What?
Yeah, what is a praline?
Pralines and cream.
Yeah. Are
You're
you
supposed
denying
to say strawberry
me?
cheesecake.
Oh, no.
What?
I mean, strawberry cheesecake's okay.
It's the greatest thing that was ever made.
Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream might be the greatest thing ever made. You ever had it?
I don't like coffee.
I don't like black plain coffee either, but that coffee ice cream is the shiz. Which reminds me, me and my cousin Tony were talking about how to get rich quick. And obviously it's not happening on YouTube and probably ever for me, and that's fine. I've been broke my whole life, so it ain't gonna hurt me to die broke.
Yeah.
I've come up with a genius idea that, of course, may or may not work. I just need a little bit of money to invest into this idea. You know, coffee stores are popping up everywhere, especially in Greenville. Little drive-through coffee places, you know. Just Joe, a drive-through coffee place where all you get is just plain coffee. No freaking frozen lattes or, fluffy, frothy shit. Just Joe, just a cup of coffee. Is it flush or flourish on that one? You think that would work? I know people like their lattes and their frozen stuff.
I'm gonna write you a check for $2.5 million, and you find out and then get back with me. Just give me.
I've actually got a check for $1 million.
Do you?
It's a real check written to me by one of my best friends, Mike Wallace, over in Raleigh. He wrote me that check when we moved in together at 19 years old. I was 19, and he wrote me. I've still got it somewhere. But he made it. It was a real check, a legit check. The only thing is he used our nicknames, so he wrote out $1 million to Cabbage from Rock.
Wow.
And I'm guessing that probably wouldn't pass at the bank.
Probably not.
What is chest pie? You talking about chess? CHESS pie? That's some good stuff.
I don't know that one.
But Fireball's on it. Fireball is on it today.
By the
Chocolate
way,
pie.
chocolate pie.
Can't beat it.
My mom cashed.
Got to be made with cocoa, Jason. It can't be chocolate pudding in a pie shell. That's not chocolate pie.
My mom cashed Mike Vick's first check at the bank. She was a banker, and he came in, and she looked.
Oh, I was thinking about VicTube on TV on YouTube. Sorry.
Okay, Michael Vick, and she was a banker in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, and he came in, and she looked at it, and she couldn't believe all the numbers, and she asked him for ID.
Whoa, wow. Imagine asking Michael Vick for ID.
It was, she said, and he
Push that one, Squid Tard.
Virginia cake pie.
Cake over pie? No way. Pie over cake all day, every day.
Cake
smiley
cake
pies? What's a smiley pie?
Oh, that was it. Wasn't those little pies that you'd find at like little mom and pop shops and stuff?
Clay likes cake over pie too. Wow.
Cake over pie every day.
No.
Okay. Frosting or cake by itself?
Oh, you got to have frosting on it.
Cake by itself.
I mean, cake by itself's good, but I mean, that's like eating wings without sauce to me. I mean, which, by the way, Billy Ratliff likes. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you Billy Ratliff fans. He likes his wings plain. He likes plain stuff, you know.
Here's BVD right here. He just went.
Yeah, you know.
I'm having a blast on here. I don't know.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm having fun.
I'm with you, Fireball. I can go to Food City, buy I'll tell you a little secret. When Food City was the last job I ever had. I was a night stalker at Food City, and I hated it. Maybe one of the worst jobs I ever had. First of all, that's a young man's job. That shit's hard on your back.
Yeah.
But the aisle that I had was the frosting, the pudding, the cake mixing stuff, all of that crap. I would open, I wonder how many people bought this. I would open icing and eat icing out of the icing thing, and then cover it back up and put it in the back of the shelf.
Mom,
yep. Sorry, Food City.
Mom, something's wrong with our icing.
Yeah, why is half of it missing?
Yeah, why is there a note in there that says sorry?
And I would, if I didn't take my lunch with me or I didn't have any money, which was quite often because I was in the final days of being a pillhead back then, I would go get the little shrimp trays, little round that has the shrimp in a circle on it with some cocktail sauce in the middle. I'd go get that out of the fish department and bring it back to my aisle and hide it on the shelf and eat shrimp while I was stocking.
You were literally
the
worst.
That was a shitty job. At that job I was. I mean, that's basically stealing.
I was the worst employee in the history of employees. I made sausage burgers at Hardee's in 1990.
What the hell's a sausage burger? Is that just a sausage patty on a bun? Or
after I hit puberty, all I thought about was food and girls. And I had no attention span at all. So they had me in there cooking right there off of West Avenue in Crossville, Tennessee. And I went back there and without looking, grabbed a box of meat and threw it on the thing. Started making burgers, which I thought they were burgers. They were special burgers.
Right.
Somebody come back and he said, I tell you what, I just drove from Crab Orchard, get me one of them burgers that I like, and you have ruined my day.
Sausage burger. Nah.
Oh, God. I get heartburn just thinking about
Michigan, man, we had Raising Cane's when I was in Athens last month, and it was horrible. Worst chicken I've ever had in my life.
I love Raising Cane's.
I mean, of course, we got it through the drive-through, and then we had to drive home, and it was cold by the time we got it.
Were you wearing orange?
Yes, Clay, I like cold pizza. I was wearing this shirt actually.
Yeah, that's why it was bad. There you go.
Well, they didn't know. I was sitting in the passenger seat of
Oh,
D4's truck.
They can feel it. They can sense it.
Do we have slim chickens? No, our chickens are fat. We feed them steroids. They're muscular chickens.
I am good to go good with coleslaw.
Our chickens screw our roosters. It's backwards in Tennessee.
Right,
no, I don't know what you're talking about, slim chickens.
Now we're getting rid of. Now we're heading down a path.
There is nothing off topic.
By the way, tell me that The Twilight Zone wasn't the greatest show that was ever made.
It wasn't the greatest show ever made to me, but it was good.
Okay, maybe not as ever made, but it was really good.
Yeah.
It was, man, I love that show.
I like the intro so well that I'm going to play it.
Hey, by the way, I got a copyright thing on my video. It just says copyright because I played a song on that Heath Schiller interview.
Plug number 37. Yeah, I mean,
what's that mean?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
There won't be a copyright on this one because I used copyright-free music at the beginning.
So what does that mean?
I get them all the time. It just says basically that you use their music and you can't monetize this video because of that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So none of my live streams are monetized, which I mean, okay, keep your penny, YouTube.
How much does it cost? Because I'm putting money in my channel now. How much does it cost to be able to do all this?
To live stream?
No, to play the Twilight Zone music and all.
Doesn't cost anything. I mean, I've got a subscription to StreamYard, so I can have more than 6 people in here on a show if I want to.
Oh,
but
okay. Gotcha.
I mean, but it doesn't cost. I mean,
there is a fifth dimension.
You can do this without costing anything.
Favorite episode?
It is a dimension as vast as space.
Of this, I don't have a favorite episode.
I've got so many.
Between light
the wildest one was one where the old man was out coon hunting with his dog.
The summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination.
Let's go. This is the Twilight Zone intro I was thinking of.
Yeah. This is the intro, the voice intro.
Yeah, it's the intro. Rod Sterling or Sterling.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No, because I didn't watch it enough to be able to single out a certain episode.
This old man is coon hunting.
And
What?
Sorry, the next video popped up, and the MGM thing where the lion comes on there and roars. Yeah. Let me play you this while you're talking.
Okay, this old man is coon hunting, and he falls in the creek. Him and the dog drowned. Well, he doesn't know he's dead, and he's walking down the road, and it's the road to purgatory. It's it's the creepiest thing ever.
Watch this.
The Howling Man too. Strange Brew. That's Rick Moranis. They were doing a character that they did, Canadian guys.
Yeah, watch this. Well, come on. I pushed play. Here we go.
Hey, bro, what are you doing? Make some noise, you not. Yeah, we gotta start the movie. Hey, keep growling. Gee, I think he's bummed out. Stick a pin in his bum, eh? No way. What are you on, Valium? Maybe I ought to crank his tail, eh? That'd start him up.
These are the hosers.
Come on, eh? Maybe we ought to call start up. First, eh? Get Wild Kingdom here, eh? Hey, come on. Oh, geez, you're getting mad, eh? Yeah.
That's great.
The Great White North.
Oh.
Do.
Good day. Oh, do our new movie theme, eh? Yeah, okay. Okay, good day. I'm Bob McKenzie. This is my brother Doug. How's it going, eh? Welcome to our movie, eh? Okay, our topic is movies. Yeah. Okay, first off, difference between movies and TV, eh?
Oh man, wasn't the '80s just awesome?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
By the way,
I
that's how
think
people talk up here
that
to a
that
degree.
all of the kids these days should have to go back and or get to go back and live in the '80s.
Goonies, Red Dawn. They remade Red Dawn, man. Oh my god, I won't even watch it. Won't even watch it.
You think the BBD TV Live will ever get to the level of Josh Pate? He's got 3,500 people watching right now. I
What?
bet you that's more people than is watching ESPN right now.
How many people's watching?
3.5 thousand.
Well, you got to remember
3.5
too, man.
thousand.
He's based now out of Nashville.
Yeah.
He's based. What's happened is you probably know this. Those big companies, they just push people on YouTube now.
How did the Nolansville kids do in the Little League World Series? I know they made it to the Final Four.
They didn't get it. I watched just for a second, saw the U.S. championships, and they
Who
weren't.
won?
I didn't see.
Well, let's just find out.
All right.
Uh,
How many thousands do we have watching us right now?
16.
1,000? Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. It's down from about 19 million.
Man, you know what's crazy? If you had that many people watching just one video, and monetization, how that works, how much money would you have?
For a video with 1 million views?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I don't know. I've got one video with over 1 million views, but it didn't get monetized till a couple of years ago. So,
they won't go back and
no.
Okay.
If that's the case, I've got several videos that would earn me a little cheese. The winner was California. They beat Curacao 6-5.
Oh, they won the whole thing.
Yeah, and Taipei got third place over Texas 10-0.
Wow.
So I guess Nolansville didn't make it to the Final Four. Where the hell am I? There we go. Yeah, the most I've ever had in a live stream was about 800, I think.
Mm-hmm. Was that a few years ago?
Oh, it's been several years ago. That was when we first started doing live stream. I think it was might have been the Georgia State game.
Oh, Jesus.
I came on live at the end when we were about to lose, and it just blew up. Hell, Catfish had like 2,000 in his stream that night. And then I did an NFL game. I streamed an NFL game live. And before I got booted, before YouTube kicked me off, I think it was up around $600 or $700. Yes, I love Stranger Things, Fireball.
My dad was dying in West Knoxville at the hospital, and I mean he's my dad, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, well, at least I get to watch football. And he was in for weeks. I watched on his deathbed with my dad, and I'm trying to make some kind of. It was just the worst. Couldn't get any worse. Right. Watching us lose to Georgia State, and then watching us lose to BYU. When I'm
that was horrible. That was horrific.
With my dad. And I'm like, this don't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't make a lot of sense. So we got just about a few minutes left tonight, Jason. This is not a reflection on you. I think it's a reflection on the other people that were streaming at the same time as us. And Ghost of Critique Captain said, stop worrying about, what was it he said earlier? Stop comparing yourself to other streamers or something like that. If I can go back, I don't think I can go back far enough to read the exact comment, but basically he was saying, I might be able to go that far back because it's letting me go pretty good.
Well, look what
back.
You're doing though, as far as you're connected to talkinvawls, sportstalkJ. I mean, you've got a lot of connections out there.
Yeah, hopefully they work out for me. It's trying to rebuild the channel. I'm by no means discouraged. But it is discouraging sometimes. I'm not going to lie. When you've got 20 people watching you, and then other people, got almost 200 people on a random stream that just started making YouTube videos about a year ago. It is discouraging, but it is what it is too. So, and that's not a reflection on you. It's not because you're here. I think it's just because
I mean, nobody really knows who I am right now.
a lot of people stream on Tuesday nights, evidently.
I would be tickled to death to have 20 people watching me. I couldn't imagine right now.
I don't even know what that means, Vandy. I know it's a joke. It's a running joke right now that Boogie has undercut me. But I don't even know what that guy meant by that comment. Some guy came in Boogie's stream the other night and said that Talking Balls undercut BBD 3 years ago. And I think he was trying to not compliment, but he was making that comment in defense of me. But all it did is probably piss some people off, I hope not.
Well, think about too, though, how many people get on here and just they don't have to take responsibility for anything they say. They can say whatever they want, try to just piss people off.
But this is a guy that I've seen in my comments for years.
Right.
So it kind of hurt me. It hurt me to have to get in Boogie's comment section and say, I don't know what the hell that guy's talking about. He's full of shit.
Just be yourself, just tell them what's going on.
You came over from Sports Talk J's channel. Is that how you found me, Slim? I mean, I don't care where people come from. I'm just happy they're here. I'm glad you're here. Hopefully you subscribed. I'd like to do a membership drive and try and get my memberships up. If I can get to 50 members, it ain't going to happen now. We'll go with before the end of football season. If I can get to 50 members before the end of football season, I'm going to give away $50, which, it's not chump change, but it's not a lot of money either. It's just a little incentive to get people to join the channel.
What's your subscribers? Are you over 5,000?
Yeah, I'm actually close to 12,000.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't reflect on my viewership because viewership is horrible right now. I'll do a video and it'll get anywhere from 200 to 500 or 600 views. And that's, those other guys get that in the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's all about the algorithm and stuff like that. And I'm trying to work with what YouTube wants you to work with to get into that algorithm. I don't understand how all that stuff works. That's crazy too that you say that, Slim. It's great that you say that, but it's kind of amazing to me. And this is not, I'm not tooting my own horn or nothing like that, but it's crazy that there's people that are new subscribers to a channel that's only been on YouTube for a year, and they had no idea about a guy that's been on here 14 years. And I mean, some of my old videos were popular videos with Tennessee fans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was all because of the rage. I was making angry videos after we would lose, and people love to see people mad. That's why people like Carolina Jackpot so much,
Or Uncle Lou, where he takes a drink of a 20-year-old drink.
Right.
Coca-Cola. Or 30-year-old.
Yeah, it is a max bet, Jay Shipes. You owe me $100, by the way, damn it. You cost me $100 that night. In 2 hands, Jason. I was winning. I was on the Jay Shipes money train. I was getting cigarette and Coke money or beer money, depending on what you drink. I was up $30. Jay Shipes comes over. All of a sudden, I'm down to like $28. I'm like, what the hell?
It's on him.
He was trying to help me. He was trying to help me quadruple my money. But it's 9:00, Jason. We're going to get out of here.
All right,
Turn it over to Uncle Lou. He's firing up right now. I appreciate all you guys that came and stayed through the whole show.
Thanks, guys, for watching.
Fireball. Who else has been here the whole show? Matt Dumit, I think. He might have already left to go with Uncle Lou. The Michigan Man. Squid Tart said he was going to leave, but I think he stayed. By the way, go hit Squid Tart up and subscribe to his channel.
Subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, and thanks most of all tonight to Double O, who dropped a very nice super chat. He dropped enough right here. That makes up for about 20 past super chats. So I appreciate the heck out of that. Double O means a lot to me. Means a lot to YouTube too, because they get like 35% of it. So yeah, wow. Join the join, aka be a member. You'll get lots of love from me. And it only costs you like $3-4 a month, or 20, depending on what you want to spend. So anyway, Jason, I'm gonna boot you and close her down, my man. Appreciate you joining me. Love talking Tennessee football with you. We might get on here next Tuesday and talk about the win if you're available.
I think that could work.
Yeah, we might bring in a panel that night and talk about a bunch of wins for the first weekend. We got football in 2 days, Florida and Utah. So get ready to watch the Gators lose and the Vols win this weekend. Bama, unfortunately, they're probably going to win.
MTSU.
Yeah. All right, Jason, have a good one, buddy. Y'all go subscribe to the Jason E. Jones Show, not the podcast, the show. Just search Heath Schuler interview. That might take you right to him. In fact, let me type that in and see what it says. Heath Schuler interview. You need to hurry up and get that Eddie interview up.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been talking to you.
There you go. You just type in Heath Schuler interview, and the very first thing that pops up is Tennessee legend Heath Schuler with Jason E. Jones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
The fact that I got up to that search bar. What's
funny is just type in, look, I'll show you. I just typed in very clearly right here, Heath Schuler interview. The first thing that pops up is Tennessee legend Heath Schuler interview by Jason E. Jones. And then right under it is a video titled Heath Schuler interview. So you popped up before the guy with the title that I put in. So, and sadly, the biggest Heath Schuler video is one called NFL Bust. Yeah.
I like to bust them.
Yeah. He was a bust in the NFL, but he was.
Well, again, if you listen to my interview,
he was a different kind of bust for Tennessee fans, meaning they should have made a bust in his honor.
True. You know, he separated his shoulder first against Alabama. That's why we basically tied them, because he couldn't throw the ball. Then he re-separates his shoulder when he's with Washington the next year as a second-year starter. And it was all set up for him to do really well, but it just didn't go down. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, great show tonight. Maybe the day will come when we do have 16,000 people watching. You just never know. But until then, we'll just settle with 16, or as it's working right now, 12. But I'm out of here, Jason. And you guys are awesome. Love you, mean it. Hug your mom and daddy. Go Vols. Screw y'all's. HOOS. Who's going to win the game this weekend?
Who's your
Tennessee, not the Who's. Later.